Yo, chat. What's up? It's the Warrior Type. I'm finally here. Finally. Uh, my channel will be built on, obviously, Boys Home, my life in Boys Home. Um, it's my first time doing this, so I gotta figure out what I'm doing and how to do it. But at some point, I'll get used to it. But anyways, my channel will be built on my life in Boys Home. I lived in Boys Home from 1991 all the way to 1996. So, I had a very interesting life. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking, well, how'd you end up in Boys Home? Well, I ended up in Boys Home because I couldn't live with my parents. My mother was strict and she had a lot of rules. She was a servant, so she had a lot of rules we had to follow. And so it was, how would I say, very difficult living with her, but she did teach me about the Savior, about the Almighty, and things like that. Now, my dad, that was a different story. My dad, I lived with him for just a little bit, but he was more physical, so we didn't get along to a certain degree either. But with that being said, uh, that's how I ended up in Boys Home. I couldn't live with my mother or dad; they were divorced. And so, it was a rough time living at my mom's house. So, and I couldn't live with my dad at that time because there was a 100 yard restraining order on him. So I remember when my dad dropped me off in Boys Home, and I didn't have anything, how would you say, nice to say to him. Uh, when he dropped me off, I actually said something really, really bad that it kind of stuck with him. But the point is, my first group home was in Wilmington. Matter of fact, I have the address. If you watch that movie Friday, the next, you'll see it in the background when they get off the freeway. Uh, but whatever. Anyways, the address is 1416 West I Street, in Wilmington. That was my first boys' home, 1991. Now, my first day of group home, it was a little weird. I only had 2 bags of clothes, 2 small grocery bags of clothes, and I had 2 goofballs, 2 clowns approach me, and they were wannabe gangsters. But one was claiming a blood hood, and one was claiming a Crip hood. And so what happened is, you know, they came and so-called sweated me, and hey, I'm from so and so gang. Don't say these words. It's like this in my set. You got any problems? We can handle it. All that foolishness. The other guy, he was claiming a Crip gang, and I know the gangs. I remember them to this day. I'm just not gonna say them because I don't. This is 1991, and I don't know if these guys are still around. And I'm only gonna use the first names because obviously there's a billion people with the same names. If I say the last names, then that can be an issue. So I'll just use the first names. But anyways, the kid who said he was from a blood gang, his name was Marshall. The kid who said he was from a Crip gang said he was Kevin. Now I'm not gonna say the sets like I said, but just put it like this: that was my first day of group home. That was the first day. 2 clowns, wannabes, because I don't think they really were from the set, because there was no one to vouch for them. So, anyways, with that being said, it was a couple of weeks of just bullying. That's all it was. A couple of weeks of bullying. Dudes talking smack and running their mouth. And so it got to the point where I got tired, and I felt like if I'm going to live here, then there has to be some changes made. Now, before I went in a group home, I lived in Long Beach. I lived with 4 uncles and my mother and my sister, and sometimes my cousin came over. And so it was just a house full of obviously people. The men in the house weren't role models, and so obviously I didn't look up to them like that. But still, our uncle was cool. My uncle, he used to gang bang with the Crip gang in Long Beach. I'm sure you guys know it was Insane Crip. So this was in the '80s though, way in the '80s. And so he was the gang banger of the house. And then I had three other uncles, and the other two were street guys. One of them passed away. I don't mind saying the names. My uncle Billy passed away. I never forgot when my grandma first heard the news. She was on the phone and she fell into the floor out of her chair and she was just crying. And our uncle Billy was probably our toughest uncle. Don't remember that much about him, but he used to come over our house when we lived in LA. At this time, I'm in Long Beach off of Lewis Street, Lewis and Hill, in the '80s now. Not today, in the '80s. Now, with that being said, my Uncle Terry, he worked, but he did get in a little trouble at one time. And I guess he went to prison for like 3 years. He came back all buffed up. Then my Uncle Roscoe, he was in and out of jail, but uh, I didn't have any role models, just put it like that. So my mother was very strict. She was into the gospel and all that. We couldn't listen to any kind of songs we wanted. It was a lot going on with my mom. But with that being said, Long Beach is where I spent majority of my beginning life. I started off in LA off of Hoover and 80th, the streets, not the game, but off of Hoover and 80th. And then after like I got like 3.5 or 4, we moved to Long Beach because my dad and mother divorced, so we moved to Long Beach and lived with grandmother and the uncles. Long Beach was wild, bro. Long Beach was wild. I learned how to fight in Long Beach because I had to do it all the damn time. Um, I went to Signal Hill Elementary School. Shout out to Signal Hill Elementary School, and I I probably had more fights in Long Beach than I could imagine as a kid, as a child. Uh, the number one, the number one way I got into fights in Long Beach was one thing. I bet I could beat your A if I had a dollar for every time I heard that, because I was a light skinned kid, kind of scrawny little, but I was strong, and I was athletic. And so, with that being said, uh, I got messages popping up on YouTube. So, anyways, with that being said, so I got in fights all the time, like, and that's how I became a good fighter because I had also met some friends that groomed me and made me even better. And then, growing up, I did take karate class and all, but I was just athletic, period. I had athletic friends. I was friends with this one kid, well, a couple of kids. This kid was the strongest guy in school this was at Prisk Elementary after Signal Hill, but Michael Jones, boy, I never met a kid like that. I thought he had superpowers. Best fighter in the school, fastest runner, never seen him lose a fight. Purdy boy, had the nicest clothes. He was one of the guys bagging on me next to my homie Dante. Dante was the other guy, athletic, very smart guy. And this is elementary school kids. So with that being said, um, I'm getting messages, but they're popping up sideways. So, anyways, with that being said, so Long Beach at Signal Hill and Prisk, and even in the summer when we went to the Signal Hill Park and all that, you know, I fought all the time, bro. It was just put it like this. By the time I went to group home, I was ready. Just put it like that. The way it worked in group homes is that really the street guys, there were street guys there was gangsters there was everybody there, headbangers, white dudes, black dudes, everybody was there. But the strongest guys weren't like, the street guys and gangsters. And I'm not trying to diss them or anything. They weren't the strongest guys in the homes. None of the boys' homes. I was in 4 different boys' homes. Those guys weren't the toughest dudes. They were just regular guys who can handle themselves. Once you prove you can fight, you weren't having issues out of nobody. So I didn't have issues. I was in 4 different group homes, and they were easy to live in. They were way better than living at home. The goal was to get back home. I never wanted to leave, and I didn't. I stayed in boys' home till I emancipated. Um, it was just, I'll follow you and you say hello to me, please. Well, I can't. You want me to say hello to you, and I can't even read your name. It's in a different language. Man, hello. Whatever language that is, hello. So, with that being said, uh, my first day in a boys' home, like I said, I was approached by these two wannabes. So after 2 weeks, I was just trying to give you guys the background before I went into boys' home. Then you'll understand how come things happened the way they did. So what happened was I finally got tired of the guy Marshall. Okay. Hi. What is your name? Okay. I'll follow you and you please follow. My name is Wormy. You said Wormy? Hi, Wormy. I don't know how this works yet. This is my first day doing this, so okay. They're getting into moderation. I really don't know how to do this stuff. I'm trying to learn as I'm going along, but I guess I'll eventually learn. But I don't see the chat at all. That's you know. But anyways, with that being said, so back to Marshall. I finally called one of them out. He was the guy claiming to be a blood, and so I called him out. Bad time. He came to my room. It's a six. Greater Hope Society was a six-man group home in Wilmington, down the street from Harbor City College, and so Marshall, his room was like next to mine, and so he came to my room when we stood in each other's faces, and he he said, "What you want to do?" I was 13 and a half at that time. So I hit Marshall, boop, just like that, hit him. He flew on the bed. I tried to grab him because I'm trying to put him in some type of a chokehold. And do you like K-pop? But anyways, so I hit Marshall and we were tussling on the bed. I somehow while we were on the bed, he hit me twice in the side of the ear. So he's laying on his back, and he got me 2 times in the ear, bink, bink. And so what happened is I finally got a hold of him, got him on the floor where he was face down, and I started choking him out. And he started screaming, "I get asthma! I get asthma!" Started screaming, huffing and puffing. And a staff member came in, and the staff member was giggling at him because he was supposed to be the bully of the house. And so what happened is, with Marshall, the staff member said, "Hey, let him go." And I purposely kept choking him because I always let go the second time I'm asked. Any fight I get into and a staff or whoever gets involved, I always let go the second time they ask. But I keep him in the hole, squeezing, scaring him, but I'm sending a message. Then I went on ahead and let him go the second time he asked me because he said, "Hey, let him go. I don't want me to get involved," all that foolishness. So anyways, when that happened, the staff member was giggling and laughing at him. And so, after that, I was dissing him every day. I was ready for the smoke every day, every day. Like what's that, Chief Keef? Like he says, every day I was on him, bro. I was on him. I was dissing his sets and saying all the words he told me not to say because I know he wasn't from that gang. And so Kevin, the same thing. Kevin, I was dissing him too, you know. And every day I was ready for the smoke. I wanted to fight Kevin so bad, bro. I wanted to fight Kevin so bad, but I went on ahead. I went on ahead and I didn't really get into it with Kevin because he didn't want the smoke. But with that being said, um, uh, you know, kids came and went. Um, they came and went out of the home. So we got new kids. We got bigger kids, stronger kids. There was a kid who was a bully who came through there, and I got chumped out. I didn't win every single fight. I don't want to be unrealistic. Even though I fought a billion times when I was a kid, I didn't win every single fight. But with that being said, uh, the owner of that home, her name was Miss Ford. Miss Ford had a couple of daughters we knew. One was Miss Smith. She was like the second in command, and everybody liked Miss Smith, bro. She was hot. Miss Smith was hot. And so, with that being said, all the kids liked Miss Smith. Now there was a staff member. Like, okay, so there was Miss Smith. Can I see your face, please? Can you see my face, please? One day I'll tell you why I cover my face. My face is covered for a reason. It's so I can live a normal life once I blow up. Because I do make music, even though nobody knows me yet. But if you want to see my face, that's probably going to be hard to do. You might have to do some background checks. But there's a reason why I don't show my face, because I want to be treated like a regular human. Once you get famous and stuff, you know how it works. You can't go anywhere. People are going to want a picture, da-da-da. You can't be with your family, da-da-da. And then your ops want to come and get you. I don't really think I have ops, and I hope I never do, but you never know in this world today. Everybody's drilling now, going after you for no reason. They just find a reason. Oh, he said this and he said that. Crying and crap. But anyways, with that being said, so there was Miss Ford was the owner. Miss Smith was the second in command, and then there was a lady named Miss Shirley. She was a white lady, heavy set, with glasses on. And Miss Shirley, she was cool people. She wasn't like a staff that worked inside the home with the kids, but she did other things. And so I remember Miss Shirley. I remember when I got my first job. I'm all over the place with this live because this is my first time. We will talk about other things, but remember, no one knows about me yet. But this is basically telling you the story about my first boys' home, group home, and some of the things that went on. And I'll be more animated and so when I start getting used to this, because I'm still trying to figure out how to work this live thing, because I don't know what I'm doing yet. But once I learn what to do, then I'll be all right, bye, goodbye. I need moderators. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to start trying to mess with that. I'm not going to do anything with that. So anyways, with that being said, my first job in Greater Hope Society in the boys' home, it was when Miss Shirley came down, and summer was coming up, and she asked everybody. It was 6 of us, and she asked everybody, "Hey, who wants a summer job?" And I was the only guy to raise my hand, the only one. Everybody else, they didn't. They just want to enjoy their summer, go out and play. They didn't want to do this. They didn't want to work. I was the only one who did that mess. So I was like, "Hey, me, Miss Shirley, I'll work. Sure, you know what I'm saying? I'll work." I'm trying to figure out how to. I don't know my distance, but I want y'all to see my little transformer shirt. Look at, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, so I raised my hand, and I got a job for the Summer Youth Employment Program. So in my first job, 1991, my first boys' home, I got a Summer Youth Employment Program working at Harbor City College, located in Wilmington. So there was a library in there, and in order to work under the age, I was 13 and a half, and in order to work a job at that age, you had to get a school permit, some type of permit from the school, the junior high school, because this program is in between the ages of 12 and 17. So once you get your school permit, then you would get you fill out the paperwork and so on and so forth, and you finally get hired. I worked at a library, so I would do 5 hours a day, $5 an hour, so that's what, $25 a day or whatever it was. And so once I started getting paid and I bought my first video game system, TurboGrafx 16, I brought my own TV from the swap meet, because every Sunday Harbor City College had a swap meet. But with that being said, the kids were looking at me crazy. I knew how to shop for clothes and go to the swap meet, so I was buying my own school clothes. I was buying my own video games at 13 and a half. And the staff members thought I was some advanced dude. It was like, damn, man, you know how to wash your clothes. Your clothes are folded. You fold your socks. I was like a military dude that never joined the military. And the staff members knew something about me. They was like, damn, this kid is way ahead of the other kids. And I was. And so with that being said, my life in Greater Hope Society was good. But there were things that happened. There were things that happened. So I don't want to tell you guys every single thing I went through at that home in one feed. But I'm sure y'all want to get to the action part of it. I would say out of all four boys' homes, most of the action took place as far as like the heavy duty stuff took action at my fourth group home which was Unity Lodge. But my third group home, yeah, some wild things happened. I had to leave that group home because I got involved with some gang activity, which I'm not a gangbanger or street dude, but I was in the middle of some mess and I had to leave the boys' home because some stuff was going down and I had to leave. I will tell those stories when I get to those group homes. My second group home was, Long Beach Youth Home. Got a lot of good stories to tell you there. But right now, the stories in my first group home, it was just mainly the main stuff that went down there was fights. It was fights. That was the main thing. So I'll tell you some more stuff that happened. There was a staff member. His name was Clarence, and he was an ex-military guy, and he had an arm. He never could put this arm straight. His arm was like this all the time, and this arm was fine. But he was an ex-military guy, but he liked to fuss and curse at us, and I didn't like that because I was that guy that I had to go through that mess at home with my grandma and stuff, and I didn't like being hollered at, and I didn't like being cursed at, and so I just didn't do what he told me to do every time. If he spoke to me with respect, then I'd do what he says to do. But if you come at me cursing at me and raising your voice, then yeah, I shut down. And once I shut down, then that's when it gets ugly and that's when it gets physical. So what happened is Clarence, I don't know how we got to this point, but I remember he was cursing at me when he was asking me to do something, and I didn't do it. So Clarence flat out told me, I'm gonna throw you out of the house. And I was like, let me see you do it. And he did it. It's that simple. He did that mess. He grabbed me. I remember because I was 13 and a half. So I wasn't, I couldn't beat up a grown man at that time. And I remember him putting me in a full Nelson. Now, the full Nelson is when you put the arms under this arm and then you have them by the back of the head. So you're holding them like this by the back of the head. And he walked me to the door, opened the door, and he threw me out the door. So that was the first time a staff member put their hands on me in boys' home. Now, did I cry to my social worker? Did I cry to the owner? No, I didn't. I didn't. I took it like a man. He threw me outside in the bushes. And so, I was banging to get back in like Fred Flintstone in mess. I was like, I was trying to get up in that mess. Cause I wanted round two. Because I'm thinking, shit, a staff member can't really put their hands on us, but I was wrong. He did. Shit. So with that being said, I was banging to get back in the house. I was hyped up. I was like, come on, let's go, dude. Let's go. I wanted a piece of that guy, but I was probably going to get my butt kicked again and thrown out the house again. So, anyways, that was the first time a staff member put their hands on me at that group home. Now, as far as kid fights, bro, I seen some kids get. I saw two fights. One was with my boy. His name was Gene, and Gene had a fight with Marshall, and they went outside. I don't know what they were arguing about, whatever it was, but they both went outside. And Marshall did this thing with his fist. He's crunching and all that crap. and they went at it. And Gene was more like a skateboarding type of dude, but he could handle himself. He could fight, and he was kind of tall. Marshall was like kind of like my height, and I remember they went outside and they were swinging for the fences, and they started wrestling, and Gene had him. But what happened was we kind of broke him up and made him stand up again and go again. And then Marshall did this again, and he punched Gene as he was coming in. And a big old giant welt was on Gene's eye. Big old giant welt. And I was like, damn. And it was bleeding blood and stuff. It was gross. And so I was like, damn, this guy, he got the best of Gene. And the staff member stopped it at that point. And Gene was walking around with this big puffy eye, bro. And I was like, damn, man. You know, I hated the fact that Marshall got that on him because I didn't. Marshall was a bully, bro. When we went to Wilmington Junior High School, he was bullying the little Hispanic kids, bro. He was a goofball, bullying dudes smaller than him and stuff. He was. I did not like that dude, bro. I did not like Marshall. Kevin ended up being cool because Kevin, he once you show you can fight to anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. In group homes, whether it's street, gang, headbanger, whatever dudes, nobody's gonna mess with you unless they're the big kids. But